Hey, 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 this is Larry Johnson, and I'm really stressed out. Help me, somebody. Well, Larry, I'll help you. But first, we have to do that little introduction thing that we do every show. So here it goes. Welcome to Kid Power Radio. I'm your host, Max, and each week I review what's happening on TV, at the movies, books and music I like, and you get the idea. Today, we have a special guest on our show. Her name is Lite, and she is with Stress Free Kids. Hey, Lori.
Hey, Max, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Very polite. It's
Thank you.
nice.
I'm relaxed.
So, tell about yourself and what you do.
Well, I'm an author of relaxation books for children, teens, and adults. But primarily my focus is on children and teens. I write stories and CDs.
Cool. How did you come up with the whole idea for Stress Free Kids?
I came up with the idea because my son used to take me 2 hours to put to sleep every single night. So when I told him to go to bed, and tell me if you can relate to this or not, Max, he would start jumping on the bed, decorating his room, taking books out, playing with army figures, and this would go on for about 2 hours.
Well, see, for me, I don't have that trouble because sleep is like heaven for me.
Oh, so you just pass right out?
Yeah, time to go to sleep. Yes.
Well,
that time.
You're a lucky kid. There's a lot of teens and kids that do not do that. So,
yeah, I enjoy sleep. How did you find? Because in your CDs, you have so many different methods for kids and teens, and some for adults. How did you find and figure out these methods?
well, I was very stressed out myself as a mom, raising my own children, and I became very sick from stress. So I went to a stress consultant who actually taught me to do research-based, meaning that there is research to show that these techniques actually lower stress levels. And I started to use them for myself, and they worked so well and so immediately, and they were so easy that I thought, why can't I get my son to do this? Why can't kids do this? Why can't teenagers do this? So what I did is I took actual adult level techniques, but I present them in a way that children and teens can do them, and they're really easy.
Well, this isn't really one of my questions, but it is type of a question.
Now it is.
Every day for homework, I have about 1-2 hours of homework every single night. If you had that problem, what methods would you use? Because I'm sure tons of my listeners are in their middle school years where, they just hit fifth grade. Oh, 1-2 worksheets per night. Now it's read these pages from a book, do this. So how do you think you could help me with that?
Well, and I also have a middle schooler, and we have the same problem going on in my house. The best thing that we do is we take breaks. So we set goals of about the amount of work that we want to accomplish. We accomplish the work, and then we take a break, and we kind of celebrate and reward my daughter will reward herself that she was able to meet her goal. And, the break it has to be something fun. You have to relax. You shouldn't take a break and go do some chores. I mean, you should bounce a ball. You should dance. You should laugh. Laughing's awesome for reducing stress. And, pat yourself on the back and reward yourself and then get back to it.
Okay, here's a great way to take that break. Why don't you just go to your computer and listen to my show? I mean,
there
why
you
not?
go. That's a great idea.
So, in your CDs, how did you come up with the ideas of like the angry octopus as one of them, and how did that just come into your mind? Oh, I can use stress related to octopuses.
It really does. I'm a very creative person, and especially during that time period when I was writing a lot of stories, I would learn a technique, and immediately my brain would flip into a story time, and an animal would just present itself to me. Like, I like the octopus just came up because I like the ocean, and I love things I've learned about octopus, the way that when they get scared or angry and they release the ink. And I just thought, what a fabulous analogy for somebody else getting angry,
Mm-hmm.
and exploding. So the octopus came up just like with I have a caterpillar story, and the caterpillars all wound up in knots. So I just thought of a caterpillar, and actually, I mean, I have to say this is my gift, that I can come up with these kind of characters for the right story and the right technique.
Well, you're a very creative person. I know some people in the world just can't think of anything to use, so
Thank
that's
you.
good. When you said that you're a very creative person, when you were young, did you come up with like these stories using these characters?
I was always a good writer growing up. My teachers always complimented my writing. I always did great in creative writing. I'm from New York, and New Yorkers are kind of known for telling great stories. And I came from a large family, and whenever we'd have get-togethers, I always noticed that the person that was telling the best story got all the attention, got all the laughs, and you want to do them, you want to one up them, so you start to hone in on your storytelling skills. Mm-hmm. And then as a teenager, getting together with groups of teens, I realized that if I could tell a good story, everybody paid attention. So I guess you can say I've been telling stories for a while.
Which of these categories do you think have the most stress and why? Teens, kids, or adults?
That is a very difficult question to answer because each one of those groups have different types of stresses. So, for instance, you may think that a 4-year-old can't have stress. But when you bring that 4-year-old to school that day and they find out they have a substitute teacher, that could be as big a stressor for that child as an adult losing their job. So it's really very, very hard to weigh them against each other. Everything is relevant according to the age. But being a teenager today is super stressful. And I think being a child is very stressful. And what's happening in the world, a lot of teenagers are worried about their parents losing their jobs. There's a lot of changes in the money situation in houses. A lot of kids, they're having parents getting divorced. All of these things add additional stress. School days are longer than they used to be. Mm-hmm. When I grew up, I really only had one activity a week. I went to dance school. And I actually walked there by myself, which was like a few miles away, which now nobody does that anymore.